and live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.
All right, well, welcome to another episode of Red Lotus Life. This is where we provide resources and tools to create a life that you love after abuse. I'm Lori Kinsey. I'm an advanced bio practitioner. This is my beautiful co-host, Sara Elizabeth Hoffman, who is an advanced, well, yeah, you're pretty much advanced spiral practitioner, certified practitioner, spiral practitioner, and womb spiral practitioner. She's just amazing in every single way. And here today, we are going to be talking about the next Lunar Journeys, which is the full moon in Aries. It's Gene Key 21. It's all about self-regulation. And for those of you who have not joined us yet in this space, we would absolutely love to have you, because this is where we take the lunar energy, we weave it into the essence of the gene key for the collective of that time period, and then we end it with a powerful and profound, it's always profound, emotional clearing session around the gene key. So today we're going to be talking about self-worth and how to be anchored and grounded in that self-worth in order to de-escalate our environment so that we can, another form of self-regulation.
Yeah, so when we're talking about self-worth here in relationship to Gene Key 21, we're actually talking about self-worth as being the driver of our willpower. And so in order to in order to be able to sustain our willpower, our life force energy, we have to be able to come out of that shadow of control. And so that's what Gene Key 21 is all about. We're moving from the shadow of control into the gift of authority, and then into the Siddhic state of valor. So what is valor in that Siddhic state? The Siddhic state is the essence, basically, of, how we express. And so it's not a place that we're going to stay all the time. We really want to be more in the gift. And that's why we clear the shadow so that we can then step into the gift. But here, valor is a new age of chivalry, or service that inspires loyalty. And so, how do we do this? By being able to clear the shadow of control. And the shadow of control actually has two different states, that can be repressive. And in the repressive nature, is actually submissive. And in the reactive nature, it is controlling. So we're going to be overly controlling. So what happens when we start to move out of the shadow of control? That looks like surrender, making authority submissive, and submission authoritative. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Lori.
I love this work. I just love the gene keys because it literally is a contemplation, right? It's a contemplation of the essence of even these words, right? And it's never what we think it is. So when you're talking about the shadow of control into the gift of authority and then the city of valor, it's like when I contemplated authority to prepare for this episode, it was not what I expected. It wasn't what I expected at all. In fact, I sat there and I went, how is authority a gift, right? If we're talking about control to authority, isn't that the same? Like, that's kind of what I was thinking. Isn't that the same? This is the first time that I've actually contemplated this key, so I'm super excited we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you're talking about the repressive nature, which is submission, that's like when we are in that submissive nature, we are giving up complete control, our divine will, our discernment, all of those things, right? We're giving up.
Submitting to a hierarchy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Submitting to a hierarchy. And so when we were talking about this, um, well, would you mind going into the reactive state real quick? What was the reactive?
The reactive nature is controlling.
Yeah. And it's almost like a lashing out, right? And trying to control the situation in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's almost like a projection. So in order we're not instead of submissiveness, we are trying to be the person who's in a position of the power dynamic and we're controlling, we are creating a hierarchy that is unequal and a dynamic that is a power over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think it's really important to talk about this even in relation to abusive or unhealthy relationships, right? Like
Mhm.
toxic relationships. And I just remember always being that submissive. I would be one or the other. I would be submissive, as in, like, okay, this is how I'm going to de-escalate. I'll just be submissive and allow someone authority, hierarchy over me.
I'll
Or,
do what I'm told, do what I'm
Mhm.
told, people pleasing, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or I would do the other, where I'd be in the reactive. And I would be like, that's when I'd be defending, like defending my self-worth and everything. So I love that even the energy of this moon is about self-worth as well, with the self-regulation. Like, I love it because I would be defending my self-worth. If I was in a reactive state, I would be defending my self-worth, which would escalate the situation because I'd be controlling, I'd be trying to control something that I felt wasn't true. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's such huge contemplations for those of us who have been in these situations. Um, Yeah, I'd like to move into like the gift real quick, the gift of authority. So
Hmm.
whenever I was thinking about that and I was contemplating it, going, how is this? How is this a gift? But then when we went deeper into it and the contemplation was those acts of service, right? The surrendering to be in acts of service with who it is that we are in a relationship with. It takes those two, like both people have to be in that gift of service in order to have it unify versus hierarchy.
Yeah, so it brings to mind what we talk about as far as like being in a place of co-creation. So both parties are in their sovereignty, both parties are willing to surrender for the sake of coming together to be able to co-create or to be able to communicate to prevent escalation.
Mm-hmm. And it's when both parties are anchored in their self-worth that
Yes.
they are actually able to act in this authority, right? This authority, which is actually the surrender
Hmm.
to be of service to the other. So this it's a beautiful contemplation. When we were talking about it before we got on, we were talking about how when we are grounded in that self-worth and we're anchored in that self-worth, that is actually when we can de-escalate a situation in a safe way without submitting. And would you give an example of that? Because you provided a beautiful example.
Yeah, just for example, if someone is coming at you with a projection and desiring to control the dynamic, the situation, the narrative, so to speak, then when you are so grounded in your self-worth and when your self-worth is actually sustainable, is when you're able to actually surrender and just say, okay, you're right. Like you're right because you know that your self-worth is so strong, you're so in your power and in your sovereignty that it doesn't matter what they say, and it diffuses and de-escalates.
Yeah. And it's not as in like saying, oh, they're right. It's more of like, it's just not worth the energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's not
okay.
worth the energy to put towards. And so when we're grounded and anchored in that self-worth, that sovereignty, now we get to just say, like, no sweat off my back, right? Type thing.
Right.
Like, this isn't even worth my time, my energy, any of those
No
things.
rent in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm very excited to be doing this Lunar Journeys because we will be doing a clearing session around the shadow of control. So for those of you who um, are resonating one way or the other, because I resonated with both. I was like, oh yeah, that's like who I used to be. I used to be that person that was always either submissive and people pleasing and doing that to be in a safe place, or I was the reactive. And I was defending myself against the hierarchy that was trying to control me, right? And now what that did was actually escalate things. So I was definitely in the shadow back in those days, for sure. But now,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it brings to mind, and this is a way that that I see so many people right now in this reactive space of control because we have no control of what is happening around us. So we try to control anything and everything that we can control within our power
Mhm.
because we feel so out of control in every other way, like whether that's a relationship dynamic or that is um, what's happening in the collective as well. Like from the macro to the micro, it's
Mhm.
all encompassing here.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's controlling what you can, controlling your environment.
Hmm.
But it's also as within, so without. And so
Yeah,
it's really just coming back into self and really checking in again. Who am I? Like, who am I? And am I representing that? Am I expressing that? Am I embodying that in a sovereign way? So that
yeah.
I can be in that authoritative, like, right? That authority, the gift
Hmm.
of authority, where I can be in surrender to be in service, which then creates loyalty, then now goes up into the Siddhi of Valor, which,
Yeah, and it also is then expressed as synarchy instead of a hierarchy dynamic.
yes. Yes, 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 yes to all of this. And so when we work with the gene keys in partnership with the full moon, that's like a whole different thing because the full moon's all about letting go. And so, yeah, I am
Letting go of
very
control.
excited. Yes. And I
And
also love that it's in Aries. So for those of you who really understand the archetype of Aries, this is a beautiful time actually to be able to let go and to be able to de-escalate and not be in that submission or in that control, that reactive control. So,
yeah, and I think just to sort of bring it all for full circle is as we are able to allow the control to go and release, what that really is doing is bringing us back to alignment with trust, trusting that everything that is unfolding isn't unfolding exactly as it should. So we're trusting source, we're trusting that the universe is aligning for us.
mm-hmm. And then when we're in that state, that is when we start to have that nervous system regulation.
Mhm.
So, mm,
Yes.
this is going to be so, so good. I'm excited. Yeah. So thank you everyone for being here and for watching and listening. If you would like to, we always like the comments. We always like the comments. Like, let's start a conversation about this. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you like this, go ahead and hit like, subscribe. We're going to be doing this, coming in and teaching on all things, Gene Keys, Lunar Journeys, all of that. And if you know somebody that might be struggling with this or might not quite understand or is in a relationship like this, please share this with them because that is why we do this work here. And then, as always, invitation to join us in Say Yes to Soul, where there is a safe space for us to have these conversations. We also do emotional clearing and go deeper into it. And then Lunar Journeys is October 6th. So it will be live. It will be live on Zoom. There will also be a replay for 3 days after the full moon. So if you're not able to make it with us live, you can definitely watch the replay and be able to do the work. So very excited. Would love for you to journey with us from control through authority. I always say through, through authority
Mhm.
and then up to valor. Oh, it's such, what was it? It was the new age of chivalry.
Yes. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. So we're excited to journey with that with the new or the full moon in Aries. So
Yeah.
yeah, the registration link will be in the comments below. Okay.
Mhm.
Talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.
And live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.